Hello, Bring a Trailer community. You've seen me sitting in this chair before if you watched a couple of the videos. This is going to be unlike any other video that we've ever done about the topic at hand, this 1957 Porsche Speedster. I'm not going to wax on about how great the car is. I'm not going to tell you it's the best one you can find. I'm not going to tell you it's the rarest one. I'm not even going to tell you this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What it is an opportunity to start off with something that is less than great, is probably even below average, and if you're looking for a donor car to give to somebody like Rod Emery, John Wilhoit, pick your favorite restoration shop, and end up with one of the nicest cars on the planet, you got to start with something like this. This is 1957 356A Speedster, now fitted with a 1600 Super engine, was born with a normal engine. Here is the first bit of contradiction about the car, because the certificate of authenticity from Porsche shows that there is no exterior paint color or interior color supplied from new. So you have this. Then, of course, you come up with the Reuter documentation, which says the car was born silver metallic with red interior with brown carpet. Okay, I'd rather have the one with nothing on it, because then you could paint the car any color you wanted and you could say, hey, we don't know what it was originally. That's about the extent of anything about the car that you need. All of this from the last owner, you can throw it away because it's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of stuff that I bought a clip, I bought a screw, I bought the shift sticker, I bought a new door handle. All of that is... So when you ask the question, does the car come with any history? I just told you about the history. No, it doesn't come with any history, other than this brochure and an owner's manual. So again, we're starting with a base. You can do one of three things with this car. You can put gas in it, and if you're living in a place like California, Arizona, nice warm climate, use it every day for the next 5 years while you're waiting to get into one of the top shops in the country that will restore this, put a hot rod engine in it, put a 5-speed, make it the color that you want. This is the car to do that project with. You can do that. You can leave it outside. It's one of these cars that's led a life. It looks like Paul Newman's car in HUD from back in the day in the early 60s. It is something that from a distance, from 20 feet, you got your Speedster. Up close and personal, there's too much paint on the car. You need a floor pan eventually. It is rusty underneath in spots. Mechanically, other than tuning it once in a while and going through the systems, again, you can use it, and use it. I think, at the end of the day, these things are becoming harder and harder and harder to find. When I first started dealing in Speedsters really in the 1990s, for that matter, going into the late 1980s, most of the cars I would find looked like this. Very few things survived. They were kind of worthless at the time. You could spend $15,000, $18,000, $20,000 on a car. My own first Speedster that I still own, I bought in 1998 for $30,000. And then, over the course of many years, after having driven it across the country twice, I restored it. I'll show you some pictures of that car that'll get sort of cut in on this video. I also have another Speedster that when I found it in Staten Island had been off the road since 1967. It had been taken apart in 1975 and left in bits and pieces as an ongoing restoration project when I bought the car about 11 years ago. That car has now done 11,000-mile rallies, the Colorado Grand, the Copper State, Keith Martin's Oregon Rally. It's done a lot of stuff, the Cal Mille, but it wasn't this good looking when I started with the project. Again, it was blown apart. The floor that was put in it had to be taken out because it was done incorrectly. The doors didn't fit, the hood didn't fit, and after a couple of years of a slow, methodical restoration, I now have a car that I've put about 20,000 miles on, and I'll use it for the rest of my life. So that's the basis that looked a lot like this thing behind me, which again, if you want to turn your nose up to it, yeah, it's not a restored thing. but that's the point. The engine doesn't match. This wasn't the original color. 3 panels on the car very clearly come from another car because they're stamped. The hood and the doors come from a different Speedster. So at one point, this thing was probably, you know, right on its last legs, and somebody did a budget restoration on it to keep using it. So let's have a look at the car. But again, I'm telling you all this now so we don't get the questions of why does it look like this. I'm not even sure that bumper was original to this car, and it probably wasn't by the way that it fits. But it is something that can be used as a basis for a great car. So let's work backwards for a second on the math. I do know of a handful of restored hot-rodded cars that are not original, all numbers matching cars that have sold from $700,000 to $800,000 now. And I'm talking about the top of the food chain stuff with a John Wilhoit 2.2 S engine in it with a Wevo 5-speed box, and every single bit of the car has been gone through. That's the top of the food chain. Rod Emery, if you're going to give him a car and he does great work, you're going to be spending in the $500,000–$600,000 range after you give him the donor to end up with a fantastic car. So what's this worth? It's not worth anywhere near that, and that's the point. You get in at ground level here on an A Speedster, not a Pre-A, on an A Speedster that you can make your own. So let's go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, please watch the video because it's going to reference everything that I'm telling you right now. So honesty, right? Let's be transparent about this whole thing. The hood, it's proud here. It doesn't fit very well. When you restore it, you'll get it to fit better. Bubbles, you know, cracked paint. All this looks like a lot of it was painted with a brush, but it was a very good brush, and it might have even been a fantastic roller. These straps just added because somehow the last set of straps went missing and there were holes in the car. Well, you don't need that. The overriders, well, this must have been a front overrider delete. Kidding, because the overriders are in the back. There's no overriders here. But all the way through, you've got a solid body. Again, this panel fits for crap. Walking around the side, you know, the door fit on this side better than the other side. Tonneau come in handy for when you leave the car parked outside while you're waiting to get in line to have it restored. You've got 4 chrome, probably Brazilian wheels with some repopped hubcaps. Badge is brand new, must have spent a few dollars on that. If you come back here, you can see, look at the life this car has led because all of this is checked and crazed. Deck lid fit here is, I don't know, it's kind of a B-, C+, it's okay. But again, you don't have to do too much work back here. Remarkably, I do think the shine-up light, much like the gas tank, is original equipment. The taillights do have the SWF numbers on them. These could be original, they could be repopped. The overriders have survived. But again, my point about this is what these cars looked like all through the 60s, 70s, going into the 80s, when they were sort of just things that people drove and left outside. And yes, some cars have survived through the years as the great original cars that were put away in barns or garages or collections, and they didn't lead a life, and those things are enormously valuable. This isn't. So this is the thing you're going to start off with to have a daily driver for a couple of years, for as long as you want. Don't do anything to it. Put gas in it, change the oil, tune it, or you'll use it for the basis for a great restoration. Coming inside, original steering wheel, horn ring. That's an original button that's going to need some real cleaning up. The gauges are all correct. You don't have any superfluous switches. There's an ashtray that's been added. I don't think that was original equipment. I think if I had to take a guess, the carpet may very well be original equipment. The seats have been retrimmed. As a matter of fact, they don't match. So the vinyl material on them is, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly usable. If your kid spills ice cream on it, you just wipe it off. If you get caught in the rain, who cares? The top is in good condition. You'll see that in the pictures, and it fits okay. And then we've got a proper side view mirror, which has the stamping on the back. So this door, you'll see it in the pictures, and again, we don't need to comment on it because I'm telling you, this doesn't fit right. Instead of being proud, it's actually too far in. So, but it closes, you know, opens and closes just fine. And, you know, this gap, well, it's okay. It's not great, but we're dealing with an overall package of something that's the basis of a let's start here and either use it as it is, or let's strip it down, find all of the sins, and over the next 18 months, 2-year period, let's restore it into a jewel. You can go online and see cars that were far worse than this, that were essentially cut in half, the cars that were rusted through that you didn't think people would restore, and people restore them. This is not a basket case. It's just not the best example. It's in the pictures, you'll see the rust underneath. It's the basis for let's build something great. So you can see I'm sitting in the car and I'm not falling through it. It's not that rusty. And this car is to speedsters what this shirt is to Porsche. You got to look twice. And for those of you who know what this is, big shout out to Bill Miller. We're going to miss you when you close the kitchen, and we're going to miss the porch. But you get it. So you always find something neat in a car. You always find something that makes a car guy go, wow. Well, there's an oil change sticker in here that obviously came from a Porsche dealership because it has the next maintenance, lube and oil, last maintenance, all of that has been faded, but it's stamped from Utah. So this car, at one point, ended up in California where we got it from, but it was in Utah before that. So the car led a life in the Southwest and California, not the worst climates to have history in. So honest bidding, have at it. There's going to be little or no reserve on this. We're still trying to decide what to do. And this just needs to go to a proper home for somebody that's going to give it the soup to nuts or use it as it is. Good luck bidding, everybody.